Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. I am reviewing today another Casio piece, and yep, this box is a little bit beat up because it's not a new piece. And a shout out again to Jody from Just One More Watch channel who made this available and sent it over for me to review. So thank you again, Jody. If you haven't had a chance, check out Just One More Watch. Is an excellent channel, excellent momentum, and he's got a really great style. So do take a look if you have not already. So without further ado, let's get on to opening this box and seeing what's in here. Now you may have already seen this in the unboxing that I did. So this is the Casio Royale, model number AE1200WH-1A specifically. And you can see already on the side here, it does have a 10-year battery label there, right? Again, 10-year battery at the bottom, and world time being the feature headline for this particular model. This is something I didn't know before. They kind of squash in the manual at the base, the display base there. So, depending on how you prefer it, you may not want to keep it like that. So let's just get that off and put those other bits aside to focus on this particular watch. So, very excellently for Casio and value for money, this watch is available for $14 on Amazon. The MSRP is $25 USD, but really when I checked, it's about $14 that it goes for currently still on Amazon. This has been nicknamed the Casio Royale, and I'm not really sure where that comes from, apart from some allusions to an old Seiko G757, which Roger Moore wore as James Bond in the early 80s Octopussy movie. So, that's what I understand it to be. It was, I guess, renamed as a Royale. Perhaps I should pronounce this as Casio Royale, as allusion to the Daniel Craig movie. That's the only clue that I have. If you know any other information on why this is called the Royale, please let me know. That's all I could really find out. So over here, it's a 40mm across case, and by that I mean across here. If you measure it at the button shoulders, it's closer to 42mm. Okay, so that's really what it is. It's 12.5mm thick, and if you measure the lug distance, which is kind of at these shoulders here, that's about 45mm. So that's really the size that you're dealing with here. Looking at the case back, you can see the module number and the model number there. Screw construction, as with just about all the Casios that I've touched, apart from the dive watch that I did a while back, giving you a 100-meter water resistance rating in this piece. The glass is mineral glass, of course. What do you expect for $14? And there is a backlight LED, which is actually an amber color. So, just letting you have a look at the backlight there. Right, so the module here is Casio Quartz Multifunction Module 3299. Now, it looks pretty complicated with, that sub-dial, that world map, but it isn't really that complicated. So let's just go through the functions. So the primary display here is a 4-zone multi-time display. Okay, so right here I have it on the home zone, which I've set to Singapore because it doesn't really have Perth, but that's the closest I can get. And then if you switch it, you can go through all the other time zones that you can set, and it's New York, London, and Sydney for Jody's home city, of course, that I've set it to, and then back to Singapore, which is kind of the Perth time that I've chosen to set this as the home city. Okay, so that's just a 4-zone home display. And if you go through the modes, well, okay. Next, you got the world time with 31 zones across 48 cities plus UTC, and you got a home city swap function. So, example, I've got here London. If you want to swap London with your home city, you press these two buttons. Okay, so Singapore has come down here, and if you press it again, go back to London. So that gives you a quick swapping if you want to use that function instead of having to reset the city in the home mode. Just as a note, this display up the top right here, that shows alarm, time signal, as well as muting the beeps if you want to. That would appear on that display at the top there. Okay, that's what that's for. But I've left that blank because I'm not setting anything on. Okay, so that's your world time. Going next, all right, you're getting your 5 daily alarms with the time signal. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with time signal. And if I set that on, you can see that signal comes on the top right there. Okay, that's what that is. Okay, moving on. 24-hour, 1/10 of a second countdown timer. And then, of course, you're going to have a stopwatch. In this case, it's 24-hour, 1/100 stopwatch. And that's really it for the watch and the features that it has built in there. Now, moving on to the strap. Well, this is a fairly standard resin strap that you see in most Casio. I think pretty much all Casios that are featured on the channel, if I'm not mistaken. It's got a plastic buckle in this case with a kind of resin keeper, you know, pretty basic. So let's just see it on the wrist now. And there we have it on the wrist, the Casio Royale, right, 40mm across and, you know, in the valley there, and the 12.5mm stick. That's how it kind of sits on my 17cm wrist. Okay, so that's really the review of the watch, the overview of the features. Now, moving on to what I found good and bad about this, right? The good things, well, it's really Casio value, isn't it? I mean, you're getting a multifunction module with all those features. In this case, the specific special features, the world time, and this $14 value piece with a 100-meter water rating on a very basic, resin type of case. It's value. It's got that classic vintage look, right? I mean, I can't describe it any other way. It really is very classic. Looks like it fits in the early 90s, if not the late 80s, this particular design. Packaged in a very lightweight case. It's 40 grams on the wrist. It really just disappears there. Very, very easy to forget you're wearing a watch if if you don't look at your wrist. And then last but not least, it's rated to have a 10-year battery life. And that's just amazing, I think. Presumably that's true. If it's not really 10 years, I'm sure it's not far off it. Let me know if you've had this watch and tested it for that long. I'm not even sure whether it's been around that long, to be honest. Okay, so what are the particular weaknesses? I think the main thing is that its design look, right? Yes, it's kind of cool. It's got that complicated look, but it's a very casual, non-serious design. So, it's not really for the working professional, I don't think. It probably fits into, I guess, more casual situations if you're going to, a comic convention or something like that. If you're casual settings like university or high school, what kind of person would this watch suit the most? Yeah, maybe a teenager or university, college type of level. Casio classifies this on their international website under youth, and I got to say that's not an inappropriate classification. It probably does suit youth more than someone who, is like in the working 30s like myself. So there we have it, guys. That's my review of this particular Casio Royale piece. Let me know what you think of this watch if you have it, and what you think of the review and thoughts. Guys, if you're enjoying my videos, do consider subscribing. I'm putting out new content every week, always aiming to be unbiased and objective about all things horology. Guys, thank you for watching, and as always, I will catch you next time.